a.m. First Fruits. This is a chapter by chapter Bible study series, and we are on Nehemiah chapter 12. This is a good chapter. There's even a party at the end. A parade. A parade. A parade of praise and parties. Last chapter, they resettled Jerusalem, moving into the holy city, casting lots to figure out who. They list the priests that were there and called them valiant men, which was pretty cool. They were organized by tribe and role. We are going right into chapter 12. The chapter begins with priests and Levites who went up with Zerubbabel to resettle in Jerusalem. In verse 22, it says, "In the days of Eliashib, Joiada, Johanan, and Jaddua, the heads of the families of the Levites and priests were recorded while Darius the Persian ruled. Levi's descendants, the family heads, were recorded in the book of the historical events during the days of Johanan, son of Eliashib. The heads of the Levites, Hashabiah, Sherebiah, and Jeshua, son of Kadmiel, along with their relatives opposite them. They gave praise and thanks, division by division, as David, the man of God, had prescribed." They were keeping a record of who is who, because only certain people from certain tribes can be a priest. It said they gave praise and thanks, division by division, as David, the man of God, had prescribed. Y'all remember David, our songwriter? He played the lyre. Going back to this, which is really cool. The bottom half of this chapter goes right into the party, or the dedication of the wall. With the leadership of Nehemiah, the wall has been built, everyone is moved in and settled, and this is how they dedicate the wall. Verse 27, "At the dedication of the wall of Jerusalem, they sent for the Levites wherever they lived and brought them to Jerusalem to celebrate the joyous dedication with thanksgiving and singing, accompanied by cymbals, harps, and lyre." It has to be a joyous dedication because this was a miraculous build, super fast, and then they have repented, they have signed this new covenant, their innards are renewed and refreshed for the Lord. In verse 28, "The singers gathered from the region around Jerusalem, from the settlements of the Netophathites, from Beth Gilgal, and from the fields of Geba and Azmaveth, for they had built settlements for themselves around Jerusalem." After the priests and Levites had purified themselves, they purified the people, the city gates, and the wall. Before this parade of praise happens, they purified themselves, the people, and all their surrounding areas. I don't know about y'all, but if I have some unrepentant sin or things looming over me, it is very hard to get a good stance for worship. "Then I brought the leaders of Judah on top of the wall, and I appointed 2 large processions that gave thanks." They had this parade of praise. 36, "with the musical instruments of David, the man of God." Verse 40, "The 2 thanksgiving processions stood in the house of God, so did I, and half of the officials accompanied me, as well as the priests." Have you noticed that in these 2 parades of praise, there is order to this? No chaos. In these parades, there were singers, there was musical instruments being played, the priests were walking with them. It is order. It is a peaceful praise parade. Verse 43, "On that day, they offered great sacrifices and rejoiced because God had given them great joy. The women and children also celebrated, and Jerusalem's rejoicing was heard far away." NLT said that God had given them cause for great joy. Some people have not experienced the real joy of God. And when you do experience it, it changes your life. Verse 44, "On that same day, men were placed in charge of the rooms that housed the supplies, contributions, first fruits, and tents. Legally required portions for the priests and the Levites were gathered from the village fields because Judah was grateful to the priests and Levites who were serving." Notice that true worship and commitment must be followed by practical support. It's one thing to say you're going to do all these things and you're going to bring all these things, But there has to be some practical steps in order to make it organized and orderly and stewarded well. I love to hear that it said Judah was grateful to the priests and Levites who were serving. NLT says they took joy in the priests and Levites and their work. They were doing a good job, and they were doing it with a good heart. Leadership will make or break a job. It'll make or break a ministry. It'll make or break your household. When you have someone who is leading well, who is leading with God, and whose heart is in the right place, there is joy in that job, there's joy in that home, and there's joy in that ministry. Verse 45, they performed the service of their God in the service of purification along with the singers and gatekeepers as David and his son Solomon had prescribed. For long ago in the days of David and Asaph, there were heads of the singers and songs of praise and thanksgiving to God. So in the days of Zerubbabel and Nehemiah, all Israel contributed the daily portions for the singers, the gatekeepers. They also set aside daily portions for the Levites, and the Levites set aside daily portions for Aaron's descendants. They were making it a priority to care for these singers and the gatekeepers, to care for the people who are worshiping and helping them worship. This reminded me of that song, I'm coming back to the heart of worship. They're going back to the heart of worship when David and Solomon had prescribed this way of thanksgiving to God, this way of worship to God. And it says, so in the days of Zerubbabel and Nehemiah, this good leadership, this good godly leadership, they're going back to the heart of worship. Joy. Again, we see joy. And this time we see joy following thanksgiving, following worship. Another way we can receive joy. We see God's people taking joy in the Levites, the priests who are serving them, joy being heard from far, far away. Good leadership is so important. We need people who have good work with good hearts. Thank you for watching this 4 a.m. and I'll see you in the next 4 a.m. when we cover Nehemiah chapter 13, the last chapter of Nehemiah, and that will be on Monday.